Hey folks, it's Laura with Rain Tree Nursery, and today we are going to talk about how to prune peaches when you get them and plant them. And we have our pruning expert. This is Teresa, our propagation manager, who has been with Rain Tree for over 30 years now, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I lose track. I can't count anymore.
She is a pro, and I expect to learn a lot today as well. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So here we have a beautiful peach. And these peaches have certain requirements when it comes to pruning. Thank goodness you know all about this. So I'm going to give you this tree.
All right.
Take it away.
Alrighty. So first thing I'm going to do is look at the roots. And just like with any fruit tree, we're going to look for places where there are breaks in the roots. We're just going to cut it off, make it nice and neat. Heals over, produces lots of new roots behind. What do you see? Oh, we got another break right there. Yep. All right. Yeah, just keep looking over. And here I've got, I hadn't noticed this before. Here we've got a root that's kind of wandering around and wrapping.
Yeah, it goes around like that.
There.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna redirect that one.
Nice.
So that we can, thank you. So that we can have a new root that'll come out and grow in a healthy direction. All right, the rest of that's looking pretty good. Once it goes into the hole, we may have just some length issues. I'll just kind of cut the lengths back a little bit so it fits in the planting hole nicely. When I do dig the hole, if I find that this root is sticking out more than the rest, rather than digging the planting hole more, I'll just trim it back. All righty. Now let's take a look at the upper portion of the tree. So our goal with pruning a peach tree is to have 3 to 4 well-spaced scaffold limbs. Scaffold limbs being the strong limbs that can support the branches and the fruit weight. Coming up the tree, we want to have 4 to 6 inches distance between the point of origin of each of these branches that we're going to select. But when I look at this tree, I don't really have good alignment there for doing that.
Yeah, it's very close together, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very close together here. If I keep these limbs, like if I was to say, oh, look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different directions, and I have about 4 inches, maybe 5 inches between the top and the bottom limb. Someday, when this fruit tree is putting on lots of fruit, one of those branches is going to rip out because the points of attachment are too close, and we actually get a fulcrum thing happening, and it will split right in the middle. Physics. So the next, I've kind of considered a little bit, and then I'm going to look at the very top. I need to have a leader coming up in the first year after planting, and I need to choose which one of these is going to be my leader.
So first you're assessing kind of the general overall form of the tree.
Yep.
Thinking about what you're going to be, the big picture.
Yep.
And then you're going to start at the top and then actually start cutting with that big picture in mind, but starting at the top.
Correct.
Nice.
Now I'm going to look for my central leader to be something that is going relatively upright in all the perspectives. Sometimes we look at these and it's cattywampus in one direction. But I would say this really is the best aligned branch for my leader. And then when I come down, the next one down is strong.
Yeah.
And it's almost as upright. And this is going to compete with this to become the new leader. So that one needs to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. And you've cut just outside of the branch collar to allow that tissue to be able to come and cover over that wound.
Correct.
Nice.
That's correct. Now I'm going to look at the next one down. Do you see the same story?
Well, yeah, it's too close.
We've got,
and it's also too fat.
It's too fat. It's going to compete in the same way. So we're going to take that one out as well.
Yeah.
There we go.
So thick it's hard to cut.
Yeah, well, and Yeah, exactly. Now, we've got our next one coming down. Um, we want to look at crotch angles, the angle of the branch relative to the tree trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I test by putting my finger into the crotch. And I'm looking for how much daylight there is underneath my finger. And there's a little bit. I prefer to not have any. A little bit is okay.
That is a great trick. I
Yeah.
love that.
Now, the reason this is important is that if I have that narrow crotch angle, like if I were, I cut off all of the narrow crotch angles. But if I still had a narrow crotch angle in here, if it was to here, as this limb thickens, at some point, as it's swelling and the main trunk is swelling, we're going to have bark to bark contact.
Oh, yeah.
We are not going to have wood to wood contact. We're going to have bark to bark. And bark to bark is not strong. It is not tied together in any way. So then this limb is out here. It's gotten longer and it's producing, 100 pounds of fruit. And where there is no wood to wood contact, that is where it will start tearing. And it can remove the entire branch, take chunks out of the trunk. It's just not going to work. Okay, so we're looking at crotch angles. The rest of these are looking pretty good. Our goal when we're selecting our primary scaffold limbs is to have, again, 3 to 4 in different directions. And as I look at this tree, to get the spacing that I'm looking for, we can potentially go, say, this one, and this one, and this one, and then we've got the leader. And we can choose a bud up here and encourage it to grow off at the other angle that we need.
Right.
So that's an option in this tree. Are there other options? I mean, sometimes there's more than one option.
And the goal is that you're wanting to leave what looks like it's going to be a good option, but also keep some spares too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. We want to keep, if we don't have, I really don't like to keep a limb this size as a primary scaffold. I'd like it to be heavier, more like this one when I keep it. So really, I think the rest of what's on this tree needs some thickening time. We're going to encourage these limbs to become thicker and stronger by heading them back. And in the case of this tree, there's already been some pruning. So I'm just going to look at the leader that I've kept, and I want to make sure that all of these side branches are about 6 inches below this point here.
So there's no competition.
So yeah, exactly. So there's no competition. So the leader will be the strong dominant. And I'm also going to select for a bud that is growing outward in a reasonable direction. So I'll start working around the tree. And boy, I don't have a lot of good bud choices here. I'm going to go here on that one. Okay. And now I want to keep going my line of direction away from the tree. Keep working around, line of direction away from the tree. It's this one here, and that's too close height-wise.
Yeah.
And I have to come way down that branch.
You don't like this one?
It's going off cattywampus.
Okay.
But we'll have to work with it. And line of direction.
I also notice you're cutting at an angle so water doesn't pool on those cuts.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. I'll get a healthier, oh boy, I don't have a really good choice here. Line of direction. It's right there, isn't it? Again, my line of direction. And I'm showing this, I'm kind of pulling this towards me, but maybe I'll turn around for a minute so that you folks can see exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about line of direction. I've got a branch here coming out and it's got its direction. And if I choose, say, this bud here, when it pushes, it's coming over here. And when you have a branch coming off at an angle and it's a primary scaffold type branch, that puts torque in the limb, and that again becomes a breaking point. So I'm looking for line of direction.
So maybe that one right
So
there.
yeah, exactly. And what do you see as a good line of direction?
Is that too tall?
It's yes, especially because this limb is thicker.
Is thicker. Wow,
Yeah.
there's just not any
Well,
really
how
good.
about this one?
It must be that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness they're trees; they'll grow.
Exactly, exactly.
And then they're probably that one, yeah?
That one there.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have a tree that has really kind of a nice shape to it. And this tree is ready to plant. Next winter, come back, look for scaffolding limbs that you can select that are 4 to 6 inches apart and give you something in each direction around the tree.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you did this pruning right after you received the tree and it's wet outside and you've got these brand new wounds, what do you do?
I like the idea of holding the tree in the garage in a dry spot for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then let's go ahead and put it in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, that gives it time to seal a little bit and
Yep, seal over, protect itself.
Fungal spores can't land on here and cause problems,
Exactly.
right? Yes.
Exactly.
Nice. Looks good. All right, now we have another tree. This
Another
tree,
peach tree.
another peach tree, exactly. And this has a lot of really thin branches.
Yeah.
How do you work with this?
Well, they're obviously not good to save to consider as scaffold limbs at this point in time.
Right.
So we're going to buy some time on this tree. I would say the very smallest ones, and especially where there's really crowded, we're just going to take them off entirely. They are just not playing the game.
This one,
Yeah, I think we can take this one off as well. We've got something else going in that same direction that we will be able to choose from later. Just my pruner here. So that takes away the very, very smallest puny little guys.
Yeah.
Now we do need to select our leader.
Yep.
And I see this is a good strong leader right here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay. And actually, we've got a fairly decent shape having done that, don't we?
Not bad.
Yeah. So the other thing I can see is that the terminal buds are still present on these long, thin branches. I would like to shorten them at least by 1/3. 1/3 to 1/2.
Okay.
And again, we're going to follow the same pattern of selecting an outward facing bud.
And why does having uncut branch tips matter?
Well, now I can actually consider a percentage. When I receive, when I've got a tree in front of me that tops have already been cut.
You have no idea how tall they were before.
No idea how long they were.
Got it.
Yeah. So I want to bring this one down quite a bit. I want that outward facing bud somewhere right about there.
Yeah.
So here's our 30 to 50% point here. Here's my outward facing bud. You can see that. And here I've got, where's my outward facing bud? Is it this one?
Here.
That one? Okay. And I want to bring, this one's a little bit skinnier. I'm going to bring it down harder. That will just, by cutting the end off, it forces the branch to do more thickening before it gets more length. And that's our goal. Long, spindly, thin branches on peach trees break.
Yeah.
And rip out. Okay.
Maybe here.
Okay. We could also consider, now maybe I'll go back and I'll think about it. Well, I mean, it really could be better if I might be able to get more strength out of this limb and get more use out of it.
If you
take
cut it shorter.
even just a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Once I've cut it, I can't put it back. But it's okay if I make multiple cuts to at the beginning of the process, as I'm getting familiar with what I'm doing, what I see in the tree. One more limb. Where do you think?
Right there.
Yeah. Oh, good. Good. We're both on the same page there.
Yep.
So now I have better balance. I have my shortened limbs.
Do I need to worry about the fact that that's kind of a V there?
Let's see what we've got. Well, we've got I don't know what's going to happen here. We do have a basal bud right there that may just shoot straight up and make a nice straight line. But we've also got 2 more buds below that point, and those are going to push and grow. So I could just kind of manipulate this a little bit and just make sure that it's just the basal bud that has the opportunity to push.
Great. Wonderful. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. Pruning peach trees before you plant. Not all that hard once you get a few tips under your belt. Take care. It's Laura and Teresa with Rain Tree Nursery, and we'll see you next time.